What more powerful position to be United States president?
But it's not as change is not that easy. It's not that that's a puppet head.
As a
I'm not
president,
saying that
how much?
Obama.
What's for you don't believe in the IQ theory?
I don't. Because
So you
one thing, for instance, I can tell you why.
you don't believe that agents test higher and math? Doesn't that attribute to IQ?
That could. That could.
It could, but
Especially
it's
if you
also
got
power. It's also economics. It's also
right.
those are the structural problems that influence a person's a people's disposition. It's not just IQ. I wish it was. And IQ, and just going back, IQ is very, just look up the methodology how IQ is tested. It doesn't test every aspect of it does.
Hello.
And I say entertainment, you may poke fun at that.
The volcano from out Iceland, they come to take over the rap game like the white man. Hiller than Hitler, photobomb at Yahoo, read it on missile. Watch me do it like the Pointer Sisters. Slip arsenic in your corn liquor. Two bigger L's than the Aubrey nigga. From Pappy Mason to Pastor Mason, the church is vacant. Preacher with Bobby trapped in the basement. I'm laughing, just imagine the Sleepy Beauty had herpes.
And supremacist views, and that has sparked tensions within the diaspora. So we have to discuss and understand whether that is a tool for empowerment or is that a tool for internal division, right? So, I'm just going. I'm gonna kick it out to what a couple of questions. Maybe let me ask how would you guys defend define black supremacy, and do you guys think it is or nationalism, do you guys think it's effective, or is it a tool for division? Let's start there.
Okay, I can break it down as simple as possible, and I'm gonna let the panel have y'all, cook on this. The reverse of it. Whatever the Caucasians are doing, that's what we need to be doing. Until we're not doing that, then we don't hold supremacy. Simple as that. I don't care how you sugarcoat it, how you uplift people who are, that need their confidence boost up. Until you are in the position where the white man is at in this world, till you control the seas and control the skies with the satellites, where you're what's how you pronounce it? Sophisticated and something, until you have that type of ability to rule and conquer land and shift the narrative, how the world sees things, you have no superiority. I don't care what group you belong to or what you fantasize and feeding these people. The reality is that you do not control, excuse my French, ish. So therefore, I sum it up, black supremacy to me is full gazing.
Adam L, let me ask you one thing. Can this type of empowerment, and it doesn't have to be with black people, right? But anybody, can it exist without trying to dominate others? Because if you say we must become like white people, that means that we must dominate, and that we must transform our thinking into a type of hierarchical thinking. And we have to invent systems or continue systems of racism and sexism and xenophobia and so on and so forth, because that is how they dominate. So
I'm not saying be exactly like your oppressor. You're misunderstanding me.
Okay.
But I'm saying before this so-called Caucasian region was in power, you had the Moors, you had the Islamic Renaissance, the rule, the case may be. You get what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, until you have that empowerment without all the and bloodshed, Until you're in that position, you don't have supremacy. I'll break it down even more simpler. If you work a 9 to 5, you work for a corporation, right? And you have you had the owner, vice president, the board, or whatever the case may be, right? And you're mopping floors, right? And you're saying to yourself, oh man, they're holding me down. I don't get paid as much as they do. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a certain level, whatever. You're not you're not the boss. You don't hold power in that company. You probably don't even hold stock in that company. You get what I'm saying? So you do not own supremacy until you're in a certain position in light, and that's the real supremacy. Not preaching fairy tales or uplifting people with rhetoric. That's not supremacy, because and I'm gonna be respectful, man, because I have colleagues that follow certain form of nationalism, right? But how can I call myself superior to the Caucasian race when I'm in jail, and it was a Caucasian who put me there, and it was a Jew who threw me through my case? If I have supremacy, then I'm the one who's putting people in the prisons. I'm the one who's invested in the prisons.
I mean, but they put their own people in prison too, though.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's collateral damage. That's considered collateral damage. And then when you do the numbers of who in prison, we clearly outnumber them. It's a thing they had in Atlanta. When I lived in Atlanta for 7 years, right, on and off. And they had this law. I can't think of the law offhand, but basically, if somebody's in your yard, you can shoot them dead, right? And in certain parts of South Atlanta, if you don't own a gun, then just say, if I wanted to be a nosy neighbor, that's how messed up the law is. I say, JC and his family don't have no weapons, no firearms. They can send police to your door, serve a warrant, and if you don't have firearms, you'll get fined. But who are these laws in place for? They're not in place for us. They're in place for them. Yeah. They're the lawmakers, right? Mm-hmm. They're the judge and jury. So therefore, for me to be behind bars preaching black supremacy and I don't hold those powers, it's just fugazi.
Let me ask you something though. Is there a way that we can preserve each other's dignity? And maybe this is idealistic of me to think and ponder on, right? But the way right now, supremacy requires domination, right? So no matter who it is in this capitalist system that's built on exploitation, right? Is there a way that we can preserve people's dignity? So say that Black people were superior, right? We were supreme, right? How could we do that without dominating the white race or Asians or so on and so forth? You know what I mean? Like,
it's not possible.
Then why would we want that? Wouldn't we be in the wrong?
Revolution.
That'd be war and slavery all over again.
Revolution is bloodshed.
I'd rather keep my soul. If domination,
revolution,
I'd rather be a slave to keep my soul at that point.
Revolution is bloodshed. Revolution is bloodshed, bro. That's the nature of man. Okay, when you want to conquer land or dominate, put your ideologies as the head, put your ideologies as the forefront. It got to be bloodshed because you're going to get resistance. Right? I'm sure a lot of people who came in and said, you know what, I really don't want to kill all these men. I just want them to bow down to my ideologies. That's not how men operate. That's not our nature. Mm. Some of us, you're going to have to take it in blood. And that's exactly what it is. And the Europeans, for the last 400 years, have taken it in blood. And there's nothing you could do about it unless you're going to play the same game. That marching and we shall overcome and equal rights, bullshit. Keep dreaming.
This country ignorant, man.
You know what I'm saying? All that, oh man, black man, you this, black man, you that. You know what I'm saying? You teaching me a whole bunch of dreams, nigga. I don't want to know. I'm gonna stay. I don't want to disrespect nobody. I don't want to know how much a star weighs, nigga. I want to know how can I overrun a certain government. How can I take over a certain military? That's what I want to know. I want to do what Patrice. I want to do what no, I probably get shut down on YouTube.
First, you gotta learn how to be popular.
Whatever those Cubans did, a certain Cuban did that American government was so angry with, and he took over that country. That's what I call domination. And that's not going to happen here with our mentality.
But what about the societies, right? That let's take Muslim societies, for instance, that in their exception, like maybe now it may be a little slightly different, but they, especially if they're upon the right teachings and so on and so forth, right? Domination shouldn't be a thing. And the only thing that, that man would be judged by is his piousness and his religion. Listen, and so on and so forth, right?
I get it. I get it. Listen,
isn't that an alternative that contradicts the whole idea of and their societies run and have been
as an orthodox
until the white man came in and dominated.
As an orthodox,
okay,
there's rules and regulations of war, and some are more pious than others, but it was still taken in bloodshed.
Okay,
that's how man operate. I'm sure they wanted to say, look, man, we want to take over this holy land. God told us that this is our holy land, and we really don't want to take our heads off. We just want to, come to a peace treaty. But, what you think? What you think the rebuttal of that is?
Basically,
God promised us. God promised us too. So come take it in blood.
Basically, you're saying men don't like to reason.
Most of the time they don't.
They refuse.
Only time they like to reason when they're dominated, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
But what I'm saying is that I'm not saying, man, bloodshed is a point. And sometimes you have to defend yourself and you have to take a more preemptive position, right? Or you ain't gonna have a country or people, you know what I mean? But what I'm saying, for the main melody that we're playing, right? To be domination doesn't seem to be the best approach. That should be only defensive. When we have to dominate you, when we have to preemptively attack you, it should be the last resort. Your society should not be, it should be more, to me, I would love to design an egalitarian society, right? And of course, if I gotta and
I gotta edit that out. I gotta edit that out, bro. I gotta edit
I'm just saying, like, I'm not naive in the fact that we have a thirst for blood, but I'm saying there's societies that have shown that there's alternative ways. And that's why our society, particularly American society, is so violent and so vile and so corrupted and so misguided.
I think we're jumping off the topic. What I'm trying to say is Black supremacy does not exist, because Black supremacy, when you look at it from a logical standpoint, they do not hold the powers that they talk about.
Yeah.
And these are certain groups that I would not name, because that's out of respect that some of the people that, I have relationships with, and I won't mention their names. You get what I'm saying? But some of these nationalistic groups that teach Black power and Black supremacy, to me, is fugazi, because they have not shown real power.
Right. No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I 100% understand that. A lot of times, like, if you're not changing the laws, you're not in the court systems, you're not in positions of power, it doesn't make sense.
You don't control military. You don't control military.
I'm gonna say it, like the Hebrew Israelites and folks like that go around, claiming that they're supreme or nation.
You named them. I didn't.
I named them. I
put them in the mix.
Put the bullet on my head, right?
Yeah, but I didn't want to put them in the mix. But
I don't care.
I think we can have a healthy conversation. I mean, do what you do. This guess I said, but I think we can have a healthy conversation and reach the minds who can read between the lines. That's a bar.
Sometimes
you know what I'm
saying.
So my thing is, from a collective, those who teaches that black nationalism. Most of it comes from an emotional standpoint. Most of it comes from uplifting people who saw themselves as less. But what has it really brought power to?
No.
And that's my argument.
And let me
Tom, you've
also,
been quiet, bro. You've been sitting there chilling. What's up? I don't want to cut you off, Tom.
Oh, me?
Yeah. You.
My bad, my bad. I was looking up. I was trying to see if I could find something in the past. When you think about you talking about who gave these or not? Oh, black supremacy. Yeah. Um, I understand people's desire to want to do that, to at least to gain that type of a thing. You know, you want to build up the whole esteem and everything. I get that. And I think, I guess that goes to to the argument earlier about wanting to say that you want to take credit for at least some type of accomplishment of the past type thing. You know what I mean? But realistically, it's like you hyping yourself up like we about to go play this NBA team. You know what I mean? And then you about to step up there on the court, and them dudes, they dropping threes at will, and you can't even, I'm winded going up and down the court twice. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the type of things where I get where you want to go with this, but it's not realistic. You know what I mean? You got to show, if you want to claim superiority in something, you got to show proof in your superiority. If I'm the superior chess player, I got to have matches under my belt. I can show you, I can beat you, you. Who's next? That's when you show superiority. You know what I mean? So to claim any type of superiority, you got to show superior in something. You know what I mean? So in
So
this as
regardless,
right. So like the same thing, even like musically. If it was like we gonna come out, put an album, we're gonna, stack them together and see who got the best. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. You're gonna listen to them and improve. It just can't be one thing like, oh, in my mind, I got the best album, but I ain't never put one out there for you to even listen to it. So how can I even put mines out there as part of the thing? So it's great in your mind if it's the plan, but you got to actually activate the plan. You actually got to put the plan in motion and do it. I think if we can see somebody do that, then they have something to say.
hey, Gov, let me ask you something in response to what you're saying. How do we talk about power without feeding those myths, those traps that you kind of describe?
It's
Is
kind of
it
like
is it
it's almost like you gotta have to actually make it happen somehow, like your own ways. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know. You got to build something of your own. I think that's the thing that we do. I think that's the thing that we may build something individually, but the next time we also have people around us that will tear it down. You know what I mean? We got to
right,
stop.
right?
We got to find a way we got to get past that. I don't know how we do that.
When it comes to black supremacy, I feel like for me is non-existent. Um, I don't see the need to. I was hearing you guys talking when I was doing my thing over there. But I said I don't really see the need for black supremacy, at least in America, right? I don't see that there's a reason to fight for something that was never yours. Um, I don't feel like there's a reason to have pride to hype ourselves up um, in the place that was a hellhole for us. It was a hell pit. There's no need for us to be here. Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. I sound like a broken note. This was never our home to begin with. I feel like black supremacy should be somewhere else in the right places. This should be in Africa. We should start rebuilding. We already have our people. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna keep it short. We don't need to trace back to our tribes and know who we are. Yeah, that's it. We don't need to know our languages and stuff. That's the past. And really, quite frankly, we're probably never gonna figure that out. I feel like we should build our own languages, our own new culture. We built it over here when there was nothing. Like my cousin said, we made lemon into lemonade, you know what I mean? So I feel like we should put black supremacy in the right place. We should put it where it's going to mean something. We should where it's going to mean something, not over here. I feel like really having this conversation about black supremacy and not to offend anyone, it's foolish. Because I mean, what are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of staying here? What are you getting out of having pride in here? We're born from here. We have history. We have culture. We can't ignore. And like my pops was saying, go to war, bloodshed, gotta take it by force. Look,
Allegedly, I know.
let's look at each other. Let's be honest. We are not going to even hurt a bear. What makes you think I'm gonna come around on some Michael Jackson beat it stuff? You know how they were going out and it had a little crew, and we're gonna come together and talk. Yeah, Gov. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah,
Hey, don't
Tylee.
touch me.
Yeah, we're gonna go and we're gonna kill these white people today. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna go slaughter them. We're gonna go override the government and everything. We got a plan. You know what I mean? We got all mapped out. I'm not doing all that. It's
I still
useless.
gotta take my nap, man. I ain't gonna take my
Yeah, you
nap.
gotta take your nap. We got nine to
Cook
five
me
work.
something to
Like,
eat, man. I'm hungry.
yeah,
Right.
we gotta pay bills. Some of us can barely afford $1 cookies in a dollar store. I'm not trying to take over this man's. Let him have it. Honestly, this is his court. He's playing on home court advantage. It's going to be unfair every time. I'm trying to go to my home court. I'm trying to build my advantage up. I'm trying to have the all the chess. I'm trying to have all the chess pieces on my board because what we're playing right now, we're playing on a chessboard with no king or queen right now. So we're missing our chess pieces and we're playing with them and they have all their chess pieces in order. I'm not finna shed their blood, but if it did come down to that, and hopefully it doesn't, if it did come down to that, I would rather have all my ducks in a row than just have some uprising that I know eventually we're gonna get tired and we're gonna fail. We're taking over the whole America, the whole government, the whole 50 states. So I mean, yeah.
Those
Fine, let me ask
uprisings.
you something.
Yeah.
What so I like the optimism, right? And the practicality of your statement, right? So let me ask you, how do you inspire? Like what would your approach personally be to to inspire without alienating? How do we build pride and invite collaboration, and how do we avoid creating contempt? What would
Okay.
what would be your personal methods for doing that?
Well, first is three steps. First, we step separation. We step separation by religion. We step separation by culture. We step
Mm,
separation by um language, as we were talking about. We
mm,
start unifying us. Okay, that Hebrew Israelite, that Muslim, that Christian, regardless, FBA African, you're all one. So
mm,
we cut it off right there. The root of alienating each other right there. So that's step one. Step two, we come with a plan and then we put that plan into action. We broadcast it. Social media out here. We have a platform. There's so many intelligent people like you yourself. There's so many talented people like JC, like Pops. There's so many MCs, so many people musically. You know what I mean? Data engineering. There's so many avenues that we can show and express our plan and our mission through these different avenues.
mm.
Third, once we have a plan, we have a concrete plan. Now we're okay. We need a base. We need to start from somewhere because we can't have all this planning and all this if we don't start from somewhere. Okay, where in Africa we're gonna start somewhere? That's Ghana, that's South Africa, Nigeria. Where in Africa are we going to start? We're going to have a foundation, just like the White House, like just like Washington. We need to build our foundation.
Well, we built the White House and they lived in it, so
Yeah, we built
it's
it. It was
just
never ours to begin with.
it's just like the car, right?
Yeah.
Um, I
Let me ask
dis
one.
I disagree with Bizzle. I really do. The reason why we can't unify, I put it on the table. Let's take religion for one. Let's take religion, right? Even the politics in prison. Let's say you have a group of black people who say, "Yo, we gotta stop fighting one another, whatever. We just gonna have to unify and go up against the system, the warden, or whatever the case may be," right? I can't vouch for no other faith, but in Islam, a Muslim can't. Although I'm not saying what happened in history, from the creed, a Muslim can't fight another Muslim. You get what I'm saying? And that Muslim would turn, for the love of that Muslim, he would turn on his relatives just for the sake of protecting that Muslim. That's how strong the creed is. You get what I'm saying? So just on that note, it just won't work out.
You saying they, well, all y'all stand on different things, so it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You know, the creed is too strong. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm in jail. And let's say we formed a group. And let's say you got 10 or 4 Muslims that disagree, right? And there's wartime. Knives have been thrown out, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Muslim, he knows better. He knows the consequences spiritually in the next life and the consequences in this world. He won't go against that Muslim. He'll put his knife down. You get what I'm saying? And if anything, he'll turn on the dude just because he told him to fight his brother. That's how strong the creed is. So in that sense, it would never work. Now, how it may work, if you're looking at it from an economic standpoint, like, look, let's just get along politically for the sake of building a land. You get what I'm saying?
That's like a temporary,
Right, until that turns, yep.
That's like a temporary, I forgot what, I don't know the word. I'm trying to think of the word. That sounds temporary because once that's over, y'all back at it against
We
each
back
other.
at it. Exactly. So it's just
about
too
dominating.
divided. It's too divided in that notion. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there was not lands. This is proven history that it wasn't cultures that coexisted with one another, but one culture had to dominate.
Somebody wants to be number one.
Yeah,
Somebody
that culture
got
had to
be-
dominate. Like, I allow you to do this and do that.
Right,
Don't get too big for your bridges.
right.
But you know,
Which is very unfortunate.
I think if people, I mean, maybe it's idealistic of me, but we all can exist without collapsing into each other. Like, we don't have to. I think it's, sometimes I will agree. Some people need to live separately. It just the sectarian violence, politics, stuff like that is just not going to work. The history is just not going to work. It's too much. It's too much history. It's too much bloodshed. You know what I mean? So
But can't you, real quick, I'm gonna cut you off top, but can't you, let's say in a perfect society, right? Can't you give those people with their same like type of minds their own land? And then come to a neutral agreement when it comes to bartering, like trade. Maybe they're in the land where there's a lot of cows, and we're in the land where there's a lot of horses. So we got to at least politically get along in that sense where we can do trade.
Yeah.
But you can't stay in my land because you're going to corrupt it or corrupt the system.
I just don't. In theory, that's what would happen. But I mean, looking like a lot of Muslim countries, a lot of the violence and sectarian violence that's happened is because of those things where they've been forced to live together, where different sects of Muslims and so on and so forth have been forced to live together, and like through Western domination and so on and so forth, and they've created this type of violence. So I agree. Like
That wouldn't be a perfect society there if that was the case with all of that. That'd be just like this country if we had to do that. Because a perfect society, you wouldn't have to do all of that.
Right. Yeah, I know.
There's a such thing of harmony, right? And I just mentioned this, but it's the harmony. The harmony relies on someone dominating that harmony, but giving these people's rights to where they're not dehumanized. Now, and at the same time saying, well, look, if you don't like the rules here, I'm giving it where you can stay here. But if you don't like the rules here, I know this sounds like how the white people say it, but you don't like the rules here, you're free to get up and leave.
You're free to go.
Yeah, I'm not holding you hostage. Get up and leave.
If you don't like the rules, you can stand on the other side. You can stand over there.
I think it becomes oppressive when you do not come to a equal term of I won't say equal. You don't come to a term and not a term of some type of rights and making the people who are under your thumb feel human. You get what I'm saying? Let's say we conquered Utah. None of us from Utah. You get what I'm saying? Let's say we conquered Utah, right? And let's say, well, We allow y'all, it's a term in Islam called jizya, taxes. Y'all had to pay certain taxes to live here in Utah, right? And in return, we allow you to have your religious sites, um, practice your religion freely if you want. You know what I'm saying? With certain stipulations. Uh, uh, um, let's see. You can open up stores. Um, you can do all these things, right? But if you don't agree to these terms, you can peacefully leave. You get what I'm saying? But not to jump ship off our topic of black supremacy, I think that that's not what the black man has been offered here.
Yeah.
You
I
get what I'm
want.
saying? And
Yeah.
he's not been offered to have a position of power. I go back to Obama. When he entered office, black people thought that Malcolm X had entered the White House. They thought that it was that Black Moses have returned. I don't like to use the term
How
Black
wrong they
Moses.
were.
I don't like to use the term Black Moses because Moses was black, but Moses has returned to us. The second coming of Moses. You get what I'm saying? And he was the total opposite.
Total opposite. Total.
And to me, that's what you call the net and the ceiling.
Yeah.
How powerful are you going to be? What more powerful position to be United States president?
But it's not as change is not that easy. It's not that that's a puppet head.
As a
I'm not
president,
saying that
how much
It
Obama
was for Hitler. It was for Hitler.
their politics are different.
Change
Like,
change was
Dynamics are
easy for
different.
Hitler.
I won't lie.
And
I
he's a
believe
white man at that. You gotta keep that in or black they
What
would
made
have fixed
so
him.
so so
You think of
so
a
I
the skin
believe
tone made him different?
I feel like I
it
believe
does. You
president
can't deny that racism and race matters. If
being
Trump
a president
Obama
don't
did
really mean much in this country because I believe that's just a face because I believe behind being a president is the government. The president has to go to the government when it comes to laws, and they have to be in agreements and all these different types of passes. So in this country, I just believe being a president is just a face of you can do certain things. You got some type of influence, some type of power, but it's still limited because once you want to make something, you have to go to the government. You
That's
have to go
true.
talk to them.
That's facts. And who runs the government? White supremacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but see, bigger than these elected officials are the ones that really got the power. The people, we vote people in and out. They got salaries, you know what I mean? These folks regular, they regular. They can be taken down at given time, but there's people that's behind the scenes, the shadows, behind the shadows that actually got the power. They actually got the ability to make something happen. You know what I mean? These are the ones that's owning these major corporations around the world. They multi-billionaires, you know what I mean? We talking about millionaires and 100,000aires, like they actually got the power to do something. No, the mega billionaires are the ones. They're the ones that's investing $100 billion in the AI for the next stuff while we over there talking about we over there wishing we can, man, I wish I can get 100,000 a year. This we thinking big time is, you know what I mean? If I could get that, I'm thinking, yeah, I'd be good right now. But these folks on $100 billion level, you see what I'm saying?
That
So,
changed to them.
right, 100,000, that's something they don't even notice that. That's you know what I
Let me ask
mean?
you this, girl. So just say if there were black faces with a certain mentality, they had that range of money, right? And
And
influence. Would we be having a different story with Obama?
he's not one of them. He's bought by one of them. He's paid for by one of them. You see what I mean?
No,
He's
no,
only
I'm saying if it was these people was switched with black faces. If
So
black face would we
you
have a
said
different would a narrative about Obama history be different? If the people who was behind Obama the billionaires that you mentioned that's in power, right, in a certain government seat, will the narrative, will we see the real Obama?
And I think our story would be different. Like it'll probably be a total different cast talking about this right now, where they
I
would be
feel
saying
you.
how
They
we're
got the
being.
same minds. It'd be the same thing. If
Yeah,
they faces would just change and they had the same mindset
yeah,
as those white people, there wouldn't be much of a difference, just the difference of their color and skin.
yeah.
But that basically saying they can literally just like as those as the white faces. So they did the only difference, the only change was the change of their skin. They thought the same, so Obama would have just repeated the same thing over again.
No, I'm
A lot of
saying
this-
if their mindset was different,
Yeah,
not just the color of their skin, if their mindset was
like
just
now
different.
if their mindset were different, yeah. If
you
they
got
had
a
a
different
different
result.
type of mindset, we might have not might have that would have things probably would have been more different. Probably better or worse, don't know. I had to live it too, but that yeah, if their minds are different, yeah,
Right.
it'd be a change.
Mm.
But if their minds are the same, they'll just be the same thing over again. Because they think in the same way as those white faces, so it wouldn't be much of a difference.
See, if they had a different mindset and they were the ones that were giving Obama the marching orders, his marching orders would have been different.
Yep.
What was the guy you mentioned with the FBA conversation again? The African guy. What was his name again? Ty
Zanu. Was it Zanu?
Zane,
Frank. Frank.
Frank Zune. I think so. Well, anyway, he made a strong, compelling argument, right? And this is good for this conversation.
Zanu.
He said this. He said the Caucasian man. And it's funny because my father mentioned this a while back. He simplified it, right? But Mr. Frank, he brought it home for me, and I like, yo, this what my father was talking about. He said you got to think about the different climates. He said in Africa we have all the resources. He said picture going in your backyard and you see fruit hanging from your tree, you know, vegetation growing abundantly. You really ain't got to reach for nothing. And, you just sitting back. You got the best weather, you know what I'm saying, the creator can offer you. You get what I'm saying? But then you do the flip side of the coin where and where the Caucasians at, it's harder for them to grow crops. It's less sun. The water's more polluted. So and then picture this for thousands of years. Your mentality, you become more innovative. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm saying all this because it was some research done as far as IQ, and they said that they said Asians, Caucasians are even one. Basically, they said that Africans and Middle Easterns had a lower IQ, right? And this is why they have not dominated, the globe because of their IQ. You get what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with a race that's been around for thousands of years, and all they know is survival, all they know is improvising. You get what I'm saying? And then they find a continent that have all these things where they don't have to improvise and you get what I'm saying? Then it becomes colonization. Let's conquer them. That's the only way I know how to get what I need to get. You get what I'm saying? And this is why they know how to run a society in modern time. Because I think Frank Zanou said that I think that I can't remember the exact African country that was liberated from the French. He said that when it was given back to the black people there, they ran it down in a hole because they didn't know how the means of keeping up the structure to make it a modern functional society.
So let me respond to that point, right? So one is like if you dominated, if you rule for hundreds of years and you've exploited and marginalized and subjugated people for those years, and then you decide, well, you don't want us here, we'll leave, we'll give it over to you, right? How in 2 years you expect them to know how to run the government, this and that. In companies, right? When new, and I'm going to speak from a software standpoint, right? When new software or anything programs come out in the company, there's a process that's called change management, right? And they have project managers that come on board and architects that come on board and business leaders that come on board, and they create a program that like in terms of software, right? After the developers are finished producing the new software and organizing it, they come on board, and before they leave and say, well, here's the product and this is what you need to do, they mentor the users and business leaders and so on and so forth in the process. They don't just abruptly, because people realize from an organization change, if you try to implement a new policy, a new software, a new direction too abruptly, it will crumble. The foundation isn't secure. And it's the same way. You can't just automatically get up and leave and say, well, look at them. They're not competent enough to do it. Of course not. You've subjugated them for 300 years and ruled them for 300, 400 years. And now you're deciding, well, we're going to give it to you. And then when they fail, you look at them and say, look at you. Look, y'all not smart. And then the other thing in terms of eugenics, in terms of who's superior, you have to question data, right? What are the methods? What are the methodology? What are the standards that are being used? Eugenics has been debunked many times that is racist. Data, they say data is neutral and numbers are neutral, but it's not. It's not. Anybody can.
You don't believe in the IQ theory?
I don't. Because one thing, for instance, I can tell you why.
You don't believe that agents test higher in math than the rest better than other nationalities?
Right. So now you have to ask your question is, one, how is math taught in other countries, right? We have pedagogically, I just butchered that word really bad, but when it comes to pedagogy, right, in this country, right, for instance, with liberal education, we tend to have a very broad focus in terms of what we teach. We make everybody survey all of these different courses, right? Language arts, music, this. In Asian countries, right, it's a very specific focus. If you're supposed to be a scientist, you're going to work as a scientist. You're going to be moving towards science from 4 years old onward. If you're a pianist, right, classical pianist, you learn a piano from 4 until you're ready to be on your own. If you're a mathematician, the same way. So the standard.
Okay, so that you're proving my argument, though. You're proving my argument that when you're dealing with inner city, you're dealing with the education in the inner cities and outdated books and what they teach in the school.
IQ?
They're economically more superior. They're economically more superior than the black people or the Americans here.
They're not economically, they're pedagogically superior. The way they teach math.
Basically,
okay, so it goes back to the IQ theory then.
Our way of teaching is more lenient and theirs are more strict and focused. Basically, we more lenient when we teach the kids and the students, but when it comes to them, they're more straight and narrow and more strict and focused on how they teach kids. So that might be a very great advantage to how they might have a great IQ.
And then let me also say this in terms of IQ. IQ has been debunked over the years because IQ narrowly focuses on some abstract pattern recognition and math problems, which you can train for, right? But does IQ tell you someone's ability to integrate information, to be creative? Those tests don't teach people's creativity, but that is creativity and integration and synthesis are a part of intelligence, are they not?
IQ is inconsistent.
Okay.
The volcano from out of Iceland, they come to take over the rap game like the white man. Iller than Hitler, photobomb and Yahoo, read it bomb missile. Watch me do it like the Pointer Sisters. Slip arsenic in your corn liquor. 2 bigger L's than the Aubrey nigga. From Pappy Mason the past, amazing, the church is vacant. I'm preaching with Bobby, trapped in the basement. I'm laughing, just imagine the Sleepy Beauty had herpes.